Tonight on KGW News, wildfire smoke blankets much of the region. When will it clear up? A Clackamas County employee is arrested for defacing a memorial.
Seeing that video, it absolutely destroyed me.
But first, Oregon's governor sends in the National Guard to help hospitals stretch to their limits.
The Delta variant has changed everything.
And welcome to KGW News at 11 on this Friday night. Governor Brown announced the National Guard deployment today. It's one of the ways the state is trying to help as more and more people are headed to the hospital with COVID. Catherine Cook reports.
The Oregon National Guard once again stepping up. On Friday, Governor Kate Brown announced she's deploying up to 1,500 National Guard troops to hospitals around the state. They'll help with testing, handling materials and equipment, an effort to relieve staff stretched thin by the Delta variant case surge.
I want to thank our National Guard members who are volunteers taking time away from their jobs, their homes, and their families. We are incredibly grateful for their service.
I was happy and very supportive of the governor's decision to make that request.
Eric Thorson is CEO of Columbia Memorial Hospital in Astoria. He says right now they're treating 8 COVID-19 patients. Of their 25 total hospital beds, they still have a few that are open.
Our situation I would call, critical, but not dire in terms of staffing.
Thorson hopes Columbia Memorial won't need help from the National Guard, and he hopes they'll remain under capacity. The hospital just canceled elective surgeries to both protect patients and make room.
If we continue to receive more and more COVID positive patients that need hospitalization, we will have the space to be able to care for them.
On Friday, state health officials reported a record 733 COVID-related hospitalizations in Oregon. 185 of those patients are in the ICU. In Bend, St. Charles Hospital says their resources are stretched woefully thin while they see a frightening rise in COVID cases. They're expecting 150 Guard members to help them beginning August 20th. And like all Oregon hospitals, including Columbia Memorial in Astoria, they're grateful.
I thank them for their service. I thank them for their help during this incredible surge across the state of Oregon.
Besides help from the Oregon National Guard, Governor Brown says the Oregon Health Authority and Oregon DHS are both providing extra support to hospitals. She's also requested support and funding from FEMA. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Starting Monday, Legacy Health will start restricting the number of people allowed inside their buildings because of the spread of the Delta variant. The new rules will apply to everyone, even those who are fully vaccinated. Visitors will not be allowed inside for any adult patient, but one guest can accompany someone in the emergency room. That person must be over 18 years old and pass a COVID screening. Patients with disabilities will also be allowed to have one guest. Anyone can still get help with the hospital discharge, follow-up care instructions, and pick up for outpatient surgery. No changes are happening for children, end-of-life patients, postpartum patients, and Unity Center for Behavioral Health. As hospitals continue filling up with patients, Oregon begins an old but familiar tactic to slow the spread of the virus. Masks are now required indoors statewide. We checked around the metro area to see how it was being enforced today. At a Costco in Clackamas County, store workers were handing out masks to people who didn't have them or maybe forgot. Some refused to wear them and workers just shrugged. Our crews did see a lot of people complying with the rules in other parts of Clackamas, Multnomah, and Washington counties. Some tell us they think the mandate is a good idea. Others are not thrilled.
I want this over with. Just everybody get vaccinated, please.
I'm for it. I feel like the numbers of stuff rising. Why not,
Some say the mask mandate is overreach by the government. Others say it should be left up to the individual if they want to wear them. Officials with Multnomah County are investigating whether a recent death could be related to the heat this week. The county medical examiner's program says the person died yesterday, but it could take weeks before we know what happened. We're also told visits to emergency rooms are up, with at least 10 visits specifically for heat. That's since Wednesday. This follows the late June heat wave where close to 100 people died in Oregon. Before this year, Multnomah County only reported 2 heat-related deaths since 2010. One of those was in 2016 and the other in 2018. If the heat wasn't enough to deal with, we also are starting to see some of the thickest wildfire smoke of the season in Portland and the entire region, really. I'm sure you've noticed it. The smoke's coming from several fires burning to the south. The closest is in the Mount Hood National Forest in northern Marion County. Most of the state is under an air quality advisory. Doctors suggest anyone with respiratory issues should stay indoors, keep the windows and doors closed, and put your air conditioning on the recirculate setting so you don't bring in outside air.
So just a warning for people to be aware that smoke conditions out there are getting worse, and that people, particularly if they have breathing problems or asthma or other respiratory illness, should avoid going outside for prolonged periods of time.
So let's bring in the man of the hour, meteorologist Joe Ranieri. Are we going to see this heat and smoke last through the weekend?
Pretty much. You're going to be staying with us all day tomorrow and a little bit into Sunday as well. But you can't spend that much time out there because you'll definitely notice it. I haven't spent that much time outside, but to go run some errands, basically to my car and back, I definitely can feel it with my eyes and a little bit of my throat, a little bit scratchy. But as we head into the next couple of hours, we're definitely going to be seeing some smoke and haze. But before we get to the smoke, I want to show you what we saw earlier this evening outside our studios here in the Goose Hollow area. You can kind of make out a little bit of the almost kind of a red color out there as the moon was popping out there earlier tonight. And it's going to be a smoky night and a smoky really start to your weekend as well. We even saw our temperatures on the warmer side too. We were expecting to see temperatures right around the low 100s for daytime highs. Well, that really didn't happen because of the thick smoke and haze, but we still topped out in the upper 90s. I'm still forecasting temperatures on the warm side, so our heat wave will continue. It's been with us since the early part of the week, starting on Tuesday. But as we look at the smoke forecast, we'll put this into motion. So here we are early tomorrow morning. It kind of thickens up a little bit throughout much of the metro area. But if you travel south of all, down in Salem, you're going to be seeing relatively light amounts of smoke, and that's going to be the case up and down the Oregon coast. So if you're having a hard time being around the smoke, if you go to the beaches, you're going to be a little better off over the next couple of days. As we head into the later part of the weekend, late tomorrow night, we are going to be seeing some of that thick amount of smoke kind of lighten a little bit, and then heading into Sunday morning, it's still going to be around in the area, but it won't be as thick as we have been seeing here all day today. And because of that thick smoke, our air quality is going to be suffering a little bit, especially out into the Columbia River Gorge where it's unhealthy right now. And some of these numbers right now that you're seeing, the greens and yellows, they could easily go from the yellows to oranges by tomorrow afternoon. I'll talk more about when we'll start to see some cooler conditions and when we'll be done with all the smoke. Laurel, back to you.
We look forward to it. Thank you, Joe. After June's historic heat wave, the mayor of Beaverton is making it her mission to lift bans on window AC units in the city. As the Portland Tribune first reported, Lacey Beatty saw people posting on Facebook about landlords and property managers preventing people from installing window units. We're told it's an industry standard because they can cause damage to the building or fall off and hit people below. Through research, the mayor discovered she couldn't just stop landlords from banning window AC units. It would require, it turns out, new rules out of the legislature in Salem. So for now, she's been meeting with building owners to try to change their minds.
Like, what do we need to help you to make sure they're mounted correctly? What do you need to do? Can you get your people out there to help? Like, let's be creative and think out of the box.
Mayor Beatty says she's reached out to Oregon lawmakers about rewriting the laws. We also talked with Governor Kate Brown's office about this, and they say they're looking at this and other issues. We're continuing to learn more about the 96 people who died from the historic heat wave at the end of June. And tonight on The Story, we took a look at one of those deaths, now raising questions. Here's Dan Haggerty.
We know that most of the victims were older and died in their homes without air conditioning, but a KGW investigation found at least one woman, 36-year-old Ashlyn Maddox, collapsed from the heat outside on the sidewalk and later died. This all happened just 50 feet from the adult foster care home where Maddox lived. We learned that she was dropped off in front of her neighbor's home by Ride to Care, a medical transport service. Nest camera video shows her being dropped off by Ride to Care and walking away in the opposite direction from where she lived. 2 hours later, she comes back to the neighborhood and passes out on the sidewalk. Her neighbor, Sally, called 911 and believes Ride to Care could have done more to make sure Ashlyn got home safe on the hottest day in Oregon's history.
To drop somebody off in the wrong house and not see that they got in, and especially with 116 degrees, not to do that, take extra precautions that the person's going to be saved, you know.
Ride to Care told KGW the driver did nothing wrong according to their policy. He dropped her off where she requested, in front of the neighbor's home. You can watch our full investigation right now on the KGW YouTube channel. That includes the policy changes some people are now hoping Ride to Care makes during extreme weather situations.
New tonight, a small group of people gathered in southeast Portland to protest the mask mandate Multnomah County announced this week. They were outside Multnomah County Chair Deborah Kafoury's home. The group held signs saying things like "End tyranny" and "We do not consent." A second group showed up to counter-protest. There was some yelling, but no physical confrontations that we saw. Some of Kafoury's neighbors said to have the protest at a politician's home was unacceptable.
I would like these people to go to the county commissioner's office, and they have every right to protest, and I support the right to protest, even if I personally disagree with them. But I'd like, if I could change all these people's mind, I could. But it'd be better if they were to go and protest at a more appropriate location.
We're told the majority of the group left at about 8:30 this evening. A Clackamas County employee is facing charges for allegedly spray painting a swastika on a memorial for a person who recently died. The memorial was for Jermel Madison. He was found unresponsive in a cell in the Clackamas County Jail and later died in the hospital. His family says Jermel was having a mental health crisis, and they blame jail staff for not monitoring him. Last week, they gathered to remember Jermel and set up the memorial. They found out Tuesday someone had knocked over candles, broke picture frames, and spray painted the swastika on the memorial. Police arrested 20-year-old Colin Williams for the crime. He works for the county surveyor's office.